Hey, welcome into Chatterbox Bearcats. It's the midweek show. I'm Nick Niehaus, joined always by Eric Lilly. And I say this every single time we come on the podcast in the midweek show, but follow him on Twitter at Bearcat Bunch. There's not a single thing that he misses on Twitter. So if you're a fan and you're not following him on Twitter, I don't know what you're doing because he's got every single thing for you. You got recruiting, you got analysis, you got pretty much every single thing. Lily, we have a packed show, but only two, maybe really three topics. I'll say three. We're going to talk about the state of the football program. We're going to talk about National Signing Day, which occurred on Wednesday in football. And, of course, Tuesday night's horrific showing at Villanova. You're going to have one job today, Lily, and that is to make me feel better about all three topics. Are you up to the challenge?
I'll try.
All right. So
I'm doing all right, the Nova game sucked, but I got it. I feel better today,
All right. Let's get into it. Let's start with football because National Signing Day, of course, did happen yesterday. It's a class. I'll leave it at that. It's a recruiting class. Some are not happy. Some are realistic about what UC football is going to bring in at a high school level. And then there's me who I went and I checked every single offer each of the kids that signed with us had. And that's where I think I'm going to start just to give people a broad picture of the kids we're bringing in from the high school level. And I want to say this, I'm not going to single out any single recruit that we had. These are kids that are going to be playing at a Division I level. I'm a grown man who never had a single offer of anything coming out of high school. So I'm fully aware of that. But when you look at the offers that some of these kids had, it doesn't look great. I'll start that. Do you have, before I get into each, because I'm going to run down the list here, before I get into that, Lily, do you want to comment before I bring up each offer that all, I think 18 signees had?
I think you should do it off, close your eyes and just start naming off like MAC schools. And let's see how many we could knock out here.
So I'm not going to talk about each specific school, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly run through each Power 4 offer each kid has. And I'm not going to name names, and it's not going to include Cincinnati. So here we go. Starting with the first one. This is all 18. This is going off of a list I found on Twitter from a student journalist. So shout out to that guy. But let's get it started. Here's P4 offers other than Cincinnati that each signee had. We have 3, 0, 0, 2, 6, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 4, 0, 0, 0, 7. And I'm going to end with the finale, 13. One kid pulled in 13 Power 4 offers. But my goodness, Lily, that is a lot of zeros.
And 6 is, I think that's Tim Griffin, right? Yeah, I'm not even sure if those are like committable, but there were some big time offers. But
air quotes. Yeah.
I do love Gio Contosis. That's actually my favorite. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've kind of checked out of football recruiting just because of the landscape. I follow it like very casually, much more than like most fans would, I guess. But back in college, I'd be watching their huddle, like, once they commit, like, they're coming here, they're Bearcats, etc. Contosis, the wide receiver that has 13 offers, he's exciting. He's the one that's been on Twitter trying to like rally the fan base a little. So that's cool. And by the way, we got to cut it out on Twitter. If you see kids committing here, why are you responding with negative? Like, this is like the biggest moment of their lives. Like, just leave it on your timeline, leave it in the group chats, just leave it there. Get it out of your system there. You don't need to be in a 17-year-old's mentions complaining that they committed here.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. And that's why I was like, before we hopped on the mic here, I'm like, do I really want to come on here? And I'm not going to rag on any high school kids. Like, that's not what I'm doing. But holistically, the list
Yeah.
of Power 4 offers that we have
Mhm.
brought into Cincinnati this year, it's not great.
Yeah.
It's simply not. I'm not. I'm going to be like, I'm going to be truthful. I can't come on here and lie that nobody would listen to us if I'm on here and I'm like, hey, we have a really great portal or we have a really great recruiting class. It's just not necessarily the truth this signing day.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm not like going to do it either, but my like positive take on this isn't even positive. It's more like what's the point? Like, why do we care? Because if you listen to Zach Grant talk about this stuff with the BCJ pod every year, he does one or two. I think he does one today and then one in spring for the spring portal, which is shortened this year. I think there's only a week in the spring to fix problems. So he always talks about getting our guys like the measurables, the hands, the arm length. Like we have a full-blown front office here, guys. Like there are other power teams that don't have this. So like part of the thing when Satterfield came here is he took a little pay cut and we got a front office. He didn't have that at Louisville. I think every school in the SEC has one. I'm not sure if the Big Ten, but like Big 12 and ACC, not every team has this like modern GM model where they have like, we hired an NFL scout and we have a couple scouts and we have a lot of interns and they watch tons of film and they're like looking at it. Their goals in life is to like, get to the NFL and be NFL personnel. Like they're really breaking stuff down. And what UC fans are doing is they're upset. I'm upset. We went 5-7. It's felt like last year, even though it was a little better. So people are just using these high school recruits to like project how they feel about the team right now. I just don't care. Like it's like these guys, if Satterfield's going to get fired, like everyone says he will next year or the year after, these guys, they'll leave too. Like, so why are we just like crapping on these guys? Like they're Bearcats. They stuck with us. I think we should be excited about the guys that committed, and then we'll see. We had 5 guys play a lot this year that were freshmen. We need them to take leaps next year. Maybe 5 of these guys do too. It's hard to tell this early because none of us. I mean, how many? I have one buddy who watches Huddle film, and he sends me like, "Man, I really like this guy," and I'm just like, "Thanks, I'll write a note. Like, I'll be watching him next year, like, or 3 years from now, and be like, wow, you called that." So it's just one of those things where it's like it's like taking out the trash in your house. You just do it. Like we're filling out this class, and then the getting your kitchen redone is like the transfer portal. Like that's what matters. Like next week, that matters. Like if we don't have a good portal, Satterfield will not survive at UC. Like that's how I look at it, and it's just so much more important because we need to win now.
I was going to say there's 3 trains of thought. I was going to say originally there's 2. You just brought up the portal. So I'm going to stick with the 2 because we'll get to the portal. 2 trains of thought, both on opposite sides of the spectrum. Positive outlook, the one I'm more so on right now, is this class and holistically what we bring in from high school and these guys is what this program has been built on forever. We've never been a program to get high 4 stars in football. Desmond Ridder had one offer that Hudson shared with us. If 247 is correct from back then when Desmond was in high school.
And that offer was from Zach Taylor, Cincinnati legend.
How about that? But he's the 3rd or 4th winningest quarterback of all time in college football, or at least Division I. So sometimes these don't mean anything. Sometimes they do. That's my one train of thought is this is what we're built on. Some of these guys might be studs. My other train of thought, we're in the Power 4 now. Let's act like it. Let's get some 4 stars. Let's get some guys who have Power 4 offers. We have 10 guys with 0 other Power 4 offers. That's what worries me. I don't care that they're a 3-star. What worries me is that 10 guys were layups. If I'm a high school recruit and I have an offer from Bowling Green and Toledo and Cincinnati, you don't have to put a whole lot of work in on that, right? You're picking the Big 12. I could be wrong. I've never recruited a high schooler. I have no idea how that works. But to me, it seems like those 10 guys were layups. 3 guys had over 5 Power 4 offers. And also, these are programs I'm talking about. Pittsburgh beat us. They're not awful. It's not an awful program. Purdue, yikes. Rutgers, yikes. Boston College, yikes. We have 2 college football programs below us when you look at the average of each recruit. And this is now I'm getting into the 3-star in the ratings. And I don't think it really matters once you get into 3 stars because there's thousands of them. So it's not like, do I really think that these scouts for 247 Sports are going out and watching every kid 24 hours? Like at that point, It's a big jumbled mess. Still, this is worth bringing up. There's 2 programs out there with a worse average when it comes to the signings that they got. And that is Boston College, 3 programs, excuse me. Boston College, Wake Forest, and Northwestern.
Yeah, and they share like something in common that we don't have. Academics. But I mean, you're right.
Make me feel better. Like seriously, and you don't have to. I mean, you might be on the same page as me, but like, we have to have a good portal. We have to have a good portal.
Like the Deloach, the 4-star we had that flipped this morning. Like, I'm pretty sure we didn't think he was going to flip a couple days ago. I don't know. It's hard to say, but when you look through the Big 12 the last couple of years, there's not many 4-stars. There's a couple teams getting them, Texas Tech, TCU, Colorado. I think Utah gets a couple. So, but the conference as a whole, like, I don't know if any like UC fans have looked at stuff like this because I have a problem, but the ACC gets so many more 4-stars than the Big 12. Like, and it's literally just because of Miami, Florida State, Clemson. Like, it's literally double. And those 3-4 teams at the top, and then 1-0, 1-0, 2 down the line adds up to more than our conference by a lot. This is a development conference. This is a conference with a lot of parity. The BYU, Arizona State, who am I missing? Colorado, and who else is at the top this year that was overachieving? There's one more I'm missing. Baylor. They're not like recruiting like crazy, and they all just finished at the top of the so. My main thing here is that everyone's projecting these high school rankings as fans, and they're upset about the team, they're upset about the coach, and they're using these rankings that don't affect next year. Last year's will affect next year. We got a couple guys that are going to play, but we got to win more games, and I think we all agree on that. And it's going to come to the portal, so it's like I have a hard time getting really upset about this stuff because we just don't know with the 3-stars. But I do completely agree with what you're saying with like. I think every year we should have 1 or 2 4-stars. I don't care if they're from Cincinnati. I don't care where they're from. Like we should like Deloach, and then I think we had one Skinner. He flipped to UK, which is a train wreck. Part of me thought we might be able to flip him back with what's going on over there, but. And then I see a lot of uproar on the Satterfield comments during the presser today. I actually thought it was a decent presser. Like, yeah, I guess if you just walk in hating the guy, you're going to see what you want to see. But I love that my biggest fear is we get stuck with like a dinosaur that doesn't want to adjust. And he's saying the right things in terms of like what West does. Don't burn bridges. We got Arrington Page back in town after we missed on him. Like, we didn't get him. And he just straight up, like, he was pretty transparent. I thought people should watch that press conference. Like, he straight up just said, like, the guys that were from Cincinnati that went to Illinois and Indiana, it's like, the bridge is still there. Come on back if they lied to you, type thing. And I think a lot of the negative reaction around this stuff is like expectations. I think the fans have the wrong expectations. Like, we were the coolest G5 team in the country in Ohio. So we're getting the best recruits. We're getting the best transfers. We're getting the best coaches. We're in Ohio. Like, it's perfect. We were the perfect G5 program in the last 10, 15 years. And now we're leveling up. This is growing pains. This is what people probably should have expected. Like, we're not cool anymore. Our coolness right now is that we're in a conference that has a lot of teams in random places across the Midwest that, like, if you're not a sports fan, you've never heard of these cities, like Stillwater, Ames, etc. And our uniqueness now is that we have an urban campus. We're in a city. We've got pro sports. So we do need to have success on the field so that we can sell this stuff to people. Because I think if we have a couple good years, I think we're going to get to 4 stars. I don't think we're getting 5 stars, but maybe we'll get like a hometown hero type thing. But that's the thing. It's like expectations and all that. Like, I don't exactly know where I'm going with all this, but
yeah,
it's kind of just like the state of the program topic you mentioned.
I'm going to tie a bow around National Signing Day and just leave this. I'm not necessarily upset at the class because who knows, right? I don't know. And you know everything about Bearcat. You know everything. And I don't think you know. Nobody knows. So what is there to get
names?
Yeah, what is there to get upset about? The only thing I worry about is the lack of other coaching staffs taking a look at these guys and giving them a scholarship. That's my only thing. The other only thing, and I don't want to get, because this is a kind of, I don't want to say old man take, because I think young people probably have this take as well, but it's not a single Cincinnati kid.
Mm-hmm. We got 5 Ohio kids this year, 5 last year, 4 the year before in his first 3 classes. Now, that doesn't seem good. I don't think it's good, but
it's not like, and I know
some are coming in the portal, you know. So,
yeah, and look, Cincinnati's a great high school football town, but it's not like these Power 4 programs are just loading up on Cincinnati kids and that's carrying them to the playoff. Like, that's not necessarily the case, but you do like to see some sort of hometown guys committing out of high school. You like to see it. What do you have a take on that? Or I don't really care that much, but that people say, like, people are all over that.
I do, like, I want more. Like, it's weird. It feels like Cincinnati either produces 5 stars or like MAC kid. It's like there's, like, you know, we get guys going to Clemson and Ohio State, stuff like that. And then this year, I think someone went to Kansas State and UCF. Like, so there is stuff there that's like to be frustrated about. But we're bringing guys back in the portal that are Cincinnati. That's important, I think, to like kind of build that culture up, because, you know, Satterfield and the staff, they don't really have Ohio connections past Combs, I don't think, or Cincinnati connections. So this isn't, to me, this might be crazy in a couple of years, but this isn't like the Tuberville thing where he wasn't going to local high schools. He wasn't even trying. Like Ryan Montgomery, he didn't even go to Mount Healthy. Like, it's not that far. Go see him.
It's right there.
But too busy golfing. Like, it's his retirement gig. I don't get that from Satterfield. He's got some fire in him and some pressers. He's still got the math teacher thing going, but I don't think he's retiring. Like, I think he's a competitive coach. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to prove people that he can win here, etc. Like, that's why I hate the Tuberville comparisons, because that dude was checked out, like, totally. He was a closer. He just showed up to get the guys over the finish line. But yeah, I want more Cincinnati, but I don't want to just take guys that they don't like fit their bare minimum,
just
like
because they're from
measurables, you know?
Cincinnati.
Yeah. And I don't know, like we could be talking here in a week with 4 Cincinnati guys coming back in the portal. Like it's like we have Corleone, we had Kander, we had Royer, Burkhalter's leaving, but we had Burkhalter. There's guys, Peak. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some guys I'm missing, but it matters. But I don't think we're like neglecting it, if that makes sense.
Well, my last thoughts on all of this is just I'm more than okay just being a portal program. Commit to the portal. I am more than okay with that. Like we saw with, now look, they didn't pan out towards the end of the year, but like we saw with the OSU guys, I mean, Pryor and Royer, like they're our best players. One of our 5 best players.
Yep.
So I'm okay with that. I want to end with that. Like let's commit to the portal. That's because these guys are already developed to a point. They're already built. Like you don't have to spend as much energy developing and all that. I'm okay with the portal.
And they're past that like recruiting phase, you know, like they don't need to see the flashy car. Like they're like, I need to find a place where I feel good, like comfortable.
My last thought on the whole thing is that the media team killed it. The Lego stuff was awesome.
Fire.
If you didn't see any of the Lego stuff, go on Twitter and check it out. That stuff was cool. But that's all I got for football. Well, I guess we didn't get to talk about, Saturday's loss. Let's quickly get one thought. I don't want to hammer it because we're 20-something minutes in and we haven't even talked about Villanova yet. But I honestly don't have much else to say. I mean, I was expecting it. So, people who are on here saying all these crazy takes, like I didn't think we were going to win, which I guess is the issue, right?
Yeah. And Houdini texts in the chat, like, Lily, talk me into betting on this. I'm like, no. Like, no.
Yeah.
That should have been your sign to bet on TCU, but I thought the snow was cool. I thought it would have been, this is hindsight, but like that would have been such a cool one to pull off, like to get into a bowl, like in that environment.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. Would have liked those practices. I've been fantasizing about those practices for a while now, but we don't have them. We're focused on the portal now. Same issues. During this losing streak, also, we didn't get to 24 points again, by the way, Nick. I don't know if you noticed.
No, I didn't end up betting on it. No, I did. I did. It was – I did end up betting on it.
Yeah, so the first 5 games, we had 24 or more. The last 7 games, we never hit 24. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's the offensive line. I don't know if it's the – part of me thinks it's the wide receivers. Part of me thinks Sorsby's banged up, and part of me thinks the team's just figured us out. I thought our bend don't break defense was all right this year, much better than I thought it would be after that Pittsburgh game and Texas Tech game. Like, do you remember after the Texas Tech game, like the discussions of how bad our defense was?
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to win some shootouts. There were no shootouts.
No.
And the defense kept us in almost every game. Maybe every game. Like, technically, you could argue that the Kansas State game wasn't their fault. The turnovers put them in very bad positions. So even while our defense was better than I expected, it also wasn't good. Like, there was no havoc. There was no disruption. There was no opposing quarterbacks were totally calm. We weren't getting interceptions, just some fumbles. And then our offense was, showed a couple flashes. It just couldn't do those long drives we were doing before, like those sustained drives you saw versus Pitt, Texas Tech, etc. Miami, we had a couple. It's just a bad combination of not a sexy offense and not a sexy defense. And when you can't force turnovers and can't score a bunch of points, you're going to lose close games.
Yeah, well, I was at the game, and I was
Ooh.
freezing. I was sitting there like, why am I here? But let's move on. Let's talk about, I wish I could say something better. But goodness gracious, Tuesday night was awful. Bearcats fall on the road to Villanova. I don't have the score with me, but I think it's burned into my brain that it was 68-60.
Something like that.
I think that's it. I have 3 takes here, Lily, that I'm just going to say. I'm just going to rattle them all off, and then let's start the conversation. Let me just get these out real quick. First, we're missing our best player. Our other best player at one point was like 2 for 12 from the floor, and their best player had 31 points. So you're going to lose that 10 times out of 10. Also, it was our first true test and on the road. I'm not going to count NKU. They have 1 Division I win. I guess you can count that as a road game. Hardly, because they had fans. The other road game, I've seen more at a Moeller St. X game. Georgia Tech had no fans. So it was a real true test on the road. That helps me feel. That helps me sleep. And my last note, Eric Dixon is really, really good. He's probably an All-American. If he keeps this up, he's a first-team All-American on a bad team, right? I don't know how they do the voting. I don't know if they can give it to a guy who's not on a great team. I mean, I think Villanova might rattle off some wins. I don't think they're as bad as their record has shown. It's not a good loss. I'm not downplaying the loss. It's not a good loss. I don't think Villanova's awful.
It's not a bad loss.
It's a Q2 loss. I mean, but
in theory,
every road game is going to be Q2, right? It's going to be hard for it to be Q3. So those are my first 3 takes. Do you agree or disagree with anything?
I like the summary at the beginning there of the 1, 2, 3. I think kind of encapsulates it. Do you think so? I thought we did okay on Dixon for like 30 minutes there, or 35. Do you agree? Like those 2 backbreaking threes, like that's what pissed me off. Like before that, I was like, we're doing good. Like we're kind of like he's shooting 2s. Like, am I crazy?
I just think the effort that goes into guarding that kind of player opens up other options for your offense. And yeah, we were doing fine. It was kind of a quiet. He was in the double digits early.
Mm-hmm.
But
he had 11 and a half.
Yeah, okay, 11 and a half. But he wasn't killing us. But then he put us away.
Yeah, he had the daggers. Like we did fine on him. He had a couple moments where it was one on like got close to the rim on a mismatch, and it's like I'm sitting on the couch. I know what's going to happen. You know those moments where it's like he's going to score here. Like unless he just misses a bunny, which guys like that, they don't. There's a reason why he averages that many points. At halftime, that was the thing I felt good about. And then there was the perimeter screens. Dixon got a 3 in the first half. That was the one thing that pissed me off. And then the 2 at the end. If we just kept them away from 3-point line, maybe it's a different story, but they deserved it. They had a better game plan. They got in front, put us away, controlled the game, all the things you want to do at home. And it was, as a TV viewing fan, it was extremely frustrating because every time we thought, like when Mitchell hit that 3, I was like, dude, we're going to win this game. Like it's over. Like that's it. Yeah. I mean, Josh Reed hit a 3. Josh Reed hit a weird, goofy ass 2. I was like, the stars are aligning here, but they just punch back.
We have people starting to turn on Wes. You got 2 Wes's. You got Coach Wes and you got Recruiter Wes. Nobody's hating on Recruiter Wes. People are starting to turn on Coach Wes. I'm not one of those people. But with that being said, I think Wes lost us the game when we cut it to 4 and Seamus, Jizzle, and Mitchell all get sent to the bench. Mitchell might have already been on the bench. One of those 3 might have already been on the bench. But regardless, we were close, and those 3 were not on the floor. That killed me. I saw he said afterwards that lack of whistles and like lack of delays in the game and whatnot were the reason that they sat and get them some fresh legs. Whatever. I don't care. The condition